slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
Hey team, I know a lot of you are trying to break the sub 5 minute mile barrier, and sub 5 minute mile training definitely is aggressive. There's nothing easy about running under 5 minutes for the mile. I know, and I've gotten a lot of comments from subscribers and people that leave comments on my videos that have this as their goal. They're trying to run 4:59. And I have created a running course specifically for athletes that are trying to break the 5 minute mile barrier. If that's of interest to you, definitely go to RunDreamAchieve.com, click on courses, or check out the resources below these videos. That'll help you as well. That course, I basically go into everything that I've learned from running the 1600 meter event in high school, starting off as a 5:30 1600 meter athlete, getting my 1600 meter time down to 4:25, and eventually running 4:22 for the mile. So I know what it really takes to break a 5 minute mile. But sub 5 minute mile training, you have to focus on spending some time running down closer to 4:20 to 4:30 mile pace. So that again, you're able to get that sub 5 minute mile pace to feel somewhat easier for you. I mean, even if you're in phenomenal shape, you're going to be in pain pretty much from the start in going after a 4:59, because again, this is 75-second quarters for 4 consecutive quarters in a row on the track. As I mentioned in other videos, the importance of running a negative split is absolutely mandatory if you want to run a 4:59 1600 meter on the track, or if you're eventually trying to run 5 minutes or 4:59 for 1609 meters, or for the full mile distance. As I talk about, as I've mentioned before, running a negative split is absolutely essential. Okay, if you're going for say 1600 meters and trying to break 5 minutes for the 1600 meter event, you have to not go out at 2:15 the first 800 meters of the race. Okay, it's a smarter move to run maybe 2:32 to 2:33 for the first 1600, and then come back with say a 2:24, 2:25 the second 1600, and you got your sub 5 minute 1600. With the mile, it's 9 meters further than that 1600 meters. So again, you're going to have to go a little bit quicker, but still be conservative in the first 800. Okay, don't try to make your move in breaking the sub 5 minute mile training. You also have to think about energy conservation. Okay, how can I run this race smarter and get better results? How can I use leverage? Leverage simply means doing more with less. Okay, I already know you know how to work hard. There are plenty of athletes that work hard that never break the 5 minute mile barrier. Okay, so you have to think outside the box. You have to think, okay, when I'm running this race, what are some things I can do, some tactics I can utilize to ensure I have the highest percentage, the highest chance of running 4:59. Run in lane 1. Don't spend the least amount of time you can in lane 2 or lane 3. Run in lane 1. Okay, even if you have, and don't lead in the first 1600 or the first 800 meters of the race. Okay, let somebody else do some pacing work. Okay, if you're drafting off some runners, that's saving you energy. Okay, don't try to run if you're by yourself. Okay, and you don't have somebody out there pushing you, then don't go out in 2:20 the first 800 meters of the race. That's 4:40 pace. You're trying to run 4:59. Get to 4:59 first, and then start looking at 4:40. I promise you, if you run 4:59, or when you run 4:59 for the mile, it's just a matter of time. It could be a matter of weeks or a matter of months before you get to 4:40 or below. Okay, and I know a lot of you out there are maybe at like 5:10 right now. Maybe you're at 5:50, and you're dreaming about 4:59. Just because you're further away doesn't mean you can't do it. Okay, if somebody else has broken this barrier, it means you can do it. Okay, what I can't guarantee you in preparing for your sub 5 minute mile training, I can't prepare you for how long it's going to take you. Okay, you may have a lot less talent than somebody else. Don't let that be a hindrance to you. Okay, just because you don't have as much talent as somebody else doesn't mean you can't do it. It just means that the athlete that has a great deal of talent is going to get to that goal of breaking sub 5 minute mile, the sub 5 minute mile barrier faster than you. But if you stay consistent, if you believe in yourself, if you're relentless, if you don't let up, okay, if you don't lose enthusiasm, if you spend, if you had to spend 10 years to break this sub 5 minute mile barrier and you finally did it, and you didn't let up, and you didn't let setbacks, and you didn't let failures along the way get the best of you, it's all worth it. Okay, I can relate to how fast this time is. And I tried breaking 5 minutes as a freshman in high school, and I couldn't do it. Okay, started off at 5:30 for 1,600 meters. Again, this is 9 meters short of a mile, so it's just short of a mile, but it's basically the mile. And by the end of my freshman year in high school, I got it down to 5:09. But I was always looking at those guys out there that, man, they're at 4:40, or man, somebody ran a 4:20 something for 1,600 meters. How am I ever going to do that? It just blew my mind at the time, because I was like, I'm running all out, and my best time is 5:09. The next year, I got it down to 4:38 as a sophomore. Okay, by the time I was graduated high school, I got it to 4:25. So it takes time. It takes consistent work. Okay, I was putting in volume in the summers. I was training. I was visualizing getting to the next level. I was visualizing and running as a professional athlete, even as a freshman in high school when I was just getting started in the sport. So I want you to be patient with yourself. Training for this sub 5 minute mile barrier. Okay, you may not be. Maybe you're older. Maybe you're in your 30s. Maybe you're in your 40s. Maybe you're in college trying to break the 5 minute mile barrier. Doesn't matter if you're male or female. I mean, there's females out there that break it too. Respect to you ladies out there trying to go after this time. You do have to, like I mentioned before, 1 VO2 max workout a week. Do a tempo run. Get that tempo run out to around 4 to 5 miles. Again, how much easier is an all-out mile going to feel if you spent some time gradually extending the duration of your tempo run and getting that tempo run out to around 4 to 5 miles in length? Okay, that's going to build an enormous amount of stamina. It's going to improve your body's lactate tolerance, your ability to clear lactic acid more effectively. Okay, that's why when you're running at VO2 max, we have to stop, because you're building up so much lactic acid you can't clear it faster than it's building up. You want to spend some time at much higher heart rates, at much higher lactate tolerance or lactate accumulation, so that you get sub 5 minute mile pace to feel somewhat easier for you. Okay, as I mentioned before, it doesn't matter how fit you are. There's nothing easy about breaking the 5 minute mile barrier. But I think if you're more strategic, if you run the tangents in the race, especially when I mean just at least on a track, on a roads, you have to pay attention more to tangents. Okay, it means running on the far right of the road if there's a right hand turn coming up, or the far left hand side of the road if a left hand turn is coming up. But on the track, you want to spend as much time as you can in lane 1. Okay, run the least amount of distance as you can versus your competition. Stay calm, stay relaxed as you're training for this sub 5 mile barrier. The best runners are always the most relaxed. So once you feel that tension and you start feeling tight, consciously tell yourself, I've prepared for this time, I'm ready. Consciously tell yourself to relax, okay? The less tension you feel mentally and physically, the better your performance is going to be, the higher your chances of break the sub 5 mile barrier is going to be as well, okay? Again, as I mentioned before, you can practically run all out the first 200 meters of this event and not build up any lactic acid. So it's important to get out, but then settle into your pace, okay? Don't get so aggressive. You don't need to be going out the first 400 meters in 70 seconds, okay? You need to be thinking about going out the first 400 meters in, say, 74 seconds, 75 seconds, okay? Run that first 800 meters in around 2:33 to 2:34. Then run a negative split. It's going to be hard, and it's going to be hard to go out easier, more conservative in the first 800 meters because everybody's going to be taking off. Let them take off, but don't let them lose don't lose contact with them. But make your attack after you get past past the first 800 meters of the race. Once you get to 800 meters, then it's an all-out 800 meter event. Okay. So again, be a little bit more strategic, and your chances of breaking the sub 5 minute mile barrier are definitely going to be heightened. Okay, maintain your volume, stay consistent with your training. Also, get your sleep, get some good food in you, hydrate well before, during, and after your workouts, and visualize yourself doing this. Train your mind as you've trained your body. Okay, visualize yourself breaking the sub 5 minute mile barrier. It's going to happen if you're consistent and persistent enough. If you believe in yourself, I know you do. Okay, but those athletes that don't let up, that are relentless, that are fanatical about going after the sub 5 minute mile barrier, those are the ones that do it. Okay, if you're just thinking about, if you just have interest in doing it, you're never going to break 5 minutes for the mile. But if you have that drive and you rely on your work ethic and your belief in what you're doing and belief in yourself, you will break the 5 minute mile barrier. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave me a comment below. I'll definitely reach out and respond back to you. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of resources. I have training plans and I have a running course specifically built for athletes such as yourself that are training to break the 5 minute mile barrier. They're there to help you succeed. They're there to guide you. They're there to speed up your recovery and your success rate. I also have training plans and courses that are revolve around the 800 meters all the way up to the ultra marathon. So feel free to visit RunDreamAchieve.com. And I wish you guys and gals all the very best in breaking the sub 5 minute mile barrier. I'm certain you're going to do it. It's just a matter of time. So thank you so much for watching. I'll talk to you all in the next video.